I teach all my production assistants who come work for our company, much to their chagrin, possibly, but I make sure that they touch all the pieces, and I teach them. One of the first lessons and one of the first things I always say to them is, you need to be thinking in every situation, am I making myself indispensable? Because especially in film and television, like that is the only value you have.
Right.
Being an indispensable part of whatever is being put together is really your security in this industry. And so
it's just a supply and demand thing.
If you're new and you're starting out in film and TV, my advice to you is, find ways to make yourself indispensable, because it's one of those jobs that's kind of the 1% of the 1%. Everybody wants it. Everybody would love to be in it. So there's always someone who's willing to work harder than you.
Exactly.
To go the extra mile. So
there's no shortage of people that want your exact job.
Yeah. So you really want to find ways to make yourself indispensable. And that does mean going the extra mile when you're a first year, second year, third year, and you're making your name.
Okay. So early 20s, you're kind of just putting the pieces together, doing this thing, doing that thing, going out here, moving here, working for this company, doing some consulting. At what point do you decide that you're just going to go out, start your production career on your own and do your own thing?
Yeah. So when I started in film and I'd started to learn the money side of things, I was still attached to security. And so I always had a side hustle. And I did that. I worked for 3 or 4 different companies. I worked with Randy Jackson when he was working on his Endemol deal. I worked for a company called Atlantic Screen Media that did Two Guns and Lone Survivor. I worked for the original company, which was a company called Filmhouse New York, or worked with them. And then, I did not have, to your point, I did not have true success as a filmmaker, as a producer in any part until I had an aha moment where I finally quit my side hustles.
And went all in.
For me, it happened, and I think that this is, we can unpack this a little bit, but for me, it happened, I had a car wreck. Guy fell asleep at the wheel and almost killed me here in Los Angeles, and my car got flipped down the highway in the fire and got pulled out by using the jaws of life. Is that what it's called? Whatever it is, the whole thing.
Yep.
And I was injured, and so I had to quit my one of my side hustle jobs at the time, and the job at the film company, and find something that was close by because I didn't have a car right away, and I was scared to drive. Right, all the things that happen when you have a heinous car accident.
Traumatic car accident.
And so when I was healed from that, I went to find a new place because I'd been kind of staying with a friend who was taking care of me. I went to find a new place, and I misread an ad in whatever I was looking at for a room that was up in the hills. And I go to see the room that's up in the hills, and it's actually a mansion with 5 rooms. And these kids who just graduated from Pepperdine are renting out a room in this mansion. And I couldn't help but ask, because they were the reason I'd mistaken the ad was because it was a $5,000 or $3,000 room. It was expensive, and I thought it was a whole house. And I asked them, what do you guys do? Because he's walking around, he's talking really fast, and he's showing me the different rooms. He's everyone in here, this is And I'm looking at this kid, he couldn't be more than 19, 20. And I'm just what on earth is this kid doing to possibly be renting out this mansion at $5,000 per room and whatever? And so I asked him. And he was at that time at the beginning of the wave of the Amazon dropship. He was doing a dropship business, and they had started when they were in college. And he was yeah, man, we make 10 grand, $10,000 a month minimum, and it just keeps going up. It's crazy. And now I'm making $20 grand minimum. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this kid telling me this story, and all I can think is you cannot be smarter than me. There is no way that you are smarter than me. And I left, and I went home, and for the next week, I watched every single video on Amazon dropship. Like I went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the end of that week, I knew with certainty that if all else failed, I could move back to Ohio with $1,000 and I could be a millionaire by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And there was something about that confidence and understanding of money that allowed me to then say, you know what? I'm going to spend the next 3 months. I'm quitting everything else I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I am just going to go all in on producing. And worst comes to worst, at the end of 3 months, if I haven't reached the success on the projects I'm working on that I want to be at, and I haven't, made money on that, I'm not doing the way towards success that I envision, I will go back to Ohio. I will take that $1,000 and I will become a millionaire by the end of the year. And then I'm going to go make my own motherfucking movie. And so there was something about this like seismic shift in my understanding of what earning was in this new economy that then allowed me to take all the distractions away and just focus. And within a month and a half, I had done my first big close and I had my first film along its way.
Wow.
So there was just a seismic. I'd always had success, but it wasn't like
the science of focus right there though. If you put all your effort into one thing, it has a much higher chance of making it bigger than everything else that you're working on.
And I also do think that like a lot of people ask me, I talk to a lot of people when I'm on the road and at these different conferences speaking about film, about coming to LA and making it. And I think the one thing in this industry that sets people apart, whether you're an actor, you're a singer, talent, or producer, the people who make it versus the people who don't, it's not talent. It's not connections. It's not who their grandfathers are. It's simply wanting it worse than everybody else.
Yeah.
It's 1,000% that you just wanted it worse.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to think about in a world where we validate things with Oscars and talent and, everything seems kind of like up in the air.
Ethereal, it seems
their grandparent was, their brother was.
Everybody wants to have a reason why they're not successful.
But the truth of the matter,
find those reasons.
I'm telling you, Travis, and all the people I've met in Hollywood, it's that they just want it more.
Yeah. They don't give up. Yeah.